Hey guys, so this is a video that I didn't know how I was gonna do this. It's about my dad and his death. I didn't know if I wanted it to be a life update for August or just a video about my dad. I don't know what I'm gonna name this video. I just feel like I need to do this video. So pretty much nothing really happened in August worth talking about besides my dad and, you know, him dying and stuff like that. So that's why I really didn't do an August update, because I didn't know, there really wasn't nothing to say. But anywho, my dad. Hopefully I can make this video without crying. It's been a month since he died, and I'm not okay with it, but I'm better than I was. I still miss him like crazy. Alright. Here we go. I'm trying to do this without crying. But it's been a month. He died August 17th. And if you don't watch my videos and you don't follow me, he had cancer. He found out in February that he had cancer. He was really sick and went into the hospital. And they found a little black mass in his lungs, in one of his lungs. And they're like, oh, it's probably nothing, yada, yada, yada. I knew right then and there. I felt it in my heart. I knew that it was going to be bad. I knew it. And everybody kept telling me, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. I knew it. I can't explain the feeling. I just knew it. They ended up doing a biopsy and going in a little bit deeper. And they found out that it wasn't just a little spot. It was actually a really big spot. They ended up finding out that it was in his esophagus, his neck, you know, all down here, his lungs. Basically, it was pretty much just everywhere up here. They told him that basically it's terminal. It was gonna kill him. It was stage 3, and they gave him I think it was like a 6 to 18 month like time frame to live. So they knew it wasn't anything that they were going to be able to fix on him, but they gave him 6 to 18 months. Unfortunately, he only made it to 6 months, and he died 6 months after he was diagnosed. So they put him on chemo, and they had chemo and radiation, and it wasn't working. So they decided to take him off of it because it wasn't doing anything. Basically, it was making him sicker. If you ever see anybody on chemo, they get really, really sick. And since it wasn't doing anything, they just decided to take him off it so that way the remaining of his life he wouldn't be so bad and so sick. He was weak a lot, lost a lot of weight. I mean, in the end, he was like bones. Like, he was literally like a bones, like a skeleton, just laying there in the end. But he got really skinny. He was really weak, couldn't do a lot. In the end, and it was really hard watching someone you love, just watching anybody actually. I don't know the word. It's like, stop. I don't know the word for it. It's like watching someone, I don't want to say deteriorate, but basically just go downhill, just you know, shrink down to nothing and basically just be nothing. And in the end, he got to the point to where he wasn't talking, he wasn't responding, he wasn't looking at anybody. It was like he was a totally different person. Like, it was just, can't explain it. I really can't explain it. Papa's watch, yeah. So my dad was someone who always stayed busy. He was always doing stuff around the house. He was always inventing like new things. He was always working on cars or working on the house or always doing something. So it was really strange to see him not be able to do anything in the end, but just kind of just lay in his chair, in his recliner, not having any energy to do anything. That was just, it didn't feel like my dad, because my whole life I've been so used to him always being out and about and doing stuff. He was Mr. Fix-It. Whenever I needed anything, if I needed anything fixed, if I had a problem, he was always there to fix it, or at least find somebody who could if he couldn't. So that was hard to watch. He really, really, really loved my daughter, Yulela. He was there when she was born. He was the first one to hold her, the first one to feed her. He was holding my hand the whole time I was having contractions and in labor with her. I ended up having to get a C-section. He was right there in the C-section room with me, and he was really, really great. If you watch my labor and delivery story, you'll hear the story. He was just, I was so glad that he was there, and I'm glad that he got to be there and got to experience it, and I have that memory with him, and that's something I can share with you, Layla. But he loved my daughter. He loved my daughter, and I hate that they didn't get more time together. The time that they did have together, I used to love watching him play with her. I really did. He loved playing with her, and when he got sick, he couldn't, and I can remember a couple of times him apologizing to her, saying that he was sorry that he couldn't play with her, sorry that he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He would like apologize all the time, and it used to make me feel so bad. And it used to make me so mad because this cancer did that to him. Like, I remember this one day, Yulela was on the couch, and she fell off the couch. She rolled off the couch, and he tried to get to her, but he just couldn't move fast enough, and he just kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." It's making me cry. I regret not taking more pictures and videos and doing things with him. Like, he used to go fishing and hunting and stuff like that. And I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but when you think about it, when somebody dies, you wish you would have did stuff like that with them. In Alabama, he's from Alabama. He used to travel down there to visit his family all the time, and he used to always, ask me if I wanted to go, if I wanted to go. And I didn't like it down there, so I would always say no, and that's a regret now. I wish I would have went down there with him. I mean, I did when I was little, but it would have been different to go down there as an adult with him and with my own daughter. But it's just one of those life regrets. About a week before he died is when he was at, I say, the lowest, when he wasn't really talking. When he did talk, it came out in a whisper, and a few days before he died, he started to just stare and like be off in another world. Like, I can't explain it. He would just be like just gone, and then like snap out of it for a few seconds to a minute and look around, and he would whisper that he loved you if somebody was sitting there or something like that, and then he would be like gone again. Like, he was just in this whole other world, and I can't explain it. I've never seen anything like it. It was really, really strange. And I remember getting a phone call, and we thought that he was not going to make it through the day. And the whole family came over, but he was like out. Like, he had no idea anybody was there. When he came to the next day, I asked him, I said, everybody was here yesterday. They were holding your hand, telling them they loved you. I was like, did you feel us? And he's like, no. So that kind of, I don't know, they say when people are in comas and stuff, they know that you're there, but my dad legitimately told me he didn't know that we were there. So that's in the back of my head. It kind of makes me wonder. But he was doing that for a couple of days before he actually died. The day that he died, it was 5 It was about 4:30 in the morning, and I got a phone call. My stepmom said that he was breathing funny and I need to come now. She called me and said the same thing about a week before, so I didn't go over there in a hurry, which it's another regret I have. But I did make it there before he died, which I'm thankful. I made it there 15 minutes before he died. But I took a shower, I got Yulayla ready, packed my diaper bag, you know, I got ready when I should have just jumped in the car and just went over there, but I didn't. But I made it there at 5 o'clock, and I sat next to him, actually laid next to him in bed, which was something that I did a lot when I went over there. I was over there every day laying in bed with him. But he was breathing, I guess they call it like shallow breaths. To me, it's not a shallow breath. It sounds like a heavy breath to me, where he's like that's how he was breathing. And that was totally different because he never breathed like that before. So he was breathing like that, and then it would stop, and then he would start back up again, and then he would stop, and it would start back up again. And I read online that that's something that people do right before they die. So I knew that it was coming, and I knew he was getting ready. I knew he was going to die that day. I didn't know he was going to die 15 minutes later. But he did that. I just laid there and held his hand and stuff. And my stepmom's like, you need to tell him that you're here. I'm like, he knows that I'm here. She's like, no, but just say it. So I put my hand on his head and on his forehead, and I was like, I'm here, Dad. And I kid you not, he took like his last breath. I swear, he took his last breath. His breathing stopped, and I just sat there and I stared and I stared and I stared at his stomach to see if it would go back up. And it didn't. He stopped breathing right then and there. Like, it was, nothing happened. It was just, he was laying there, he was breathing, and then it just stopped. Like, he just, like, 1 minute he was there, the next minute he was gone. I never seen anybody die before, so that was my first time seeing anybody die. And it's kind of messes you up a little bit. Definitely struggling with my faith right now, and you can't forget that. You can't forget seeing somebody die. I don't know how people do it every day. Like, that's their job. I don't know how they do it. Me myself, I couldn't work in a hospital or something where people are dying every day. I couldn't. He took his last breath, and we were just sitting there seeing if he would start back up, and he didn't. So his last breath was at 5:15. He died at 5:15 a.m. And I just laid there with him. Like, I laid there and just laid there holding his hand, and people were coming in and saying their goodbyes because we called the family and everything, and they were coming in and saying goodbye and kissing him and telling him that they loved him and stuff. Once everybody came, once we got a hold of everybody and they came, I think it was my stepmom who called the funeral. First we had to wait for someone to come in and actually, check his pulse and stuff and say that he was actually dead. That's another thing I didn't mention, is his hands and his feet got really cold, like 2 days before he died. Like, a few days before he died, you could feel the coldness in his hands and his feet, and they said that that's a sign of your body is getting ready to shut down. So that's what I read online anyway. So we waited for someone to come in and pronounce him dead, which we already knew he was, but apparently they have to do that. Called the funeral home, and they were coming to get him. So he didn't have any clothes on, so me and my stepmom dressed him. We put some pants on him, some socks, and a t-shirt that I got him for his birthday, which I have. The funeral home gave it back to me. I really, really wanted that t-shirt. The day that I gave him that t-shirt on his birthday, when he opened it, he saw it in a bag, he picked it up, and he looked at me, and he smiled, and I wish I would have got that on video or camera. I was taking pictures that day, but I didn't think to take video at his birthday, and I wish I would have. And I hate that I didn't, but I should have. So take pictures and take videos of your family, because when they're gone, you're gonna wish you did. But anywho, I got a shirt back from the funeral home. When we were dressing him, he had already started to stiffen because we were waiting for family to come. So to get him dressed, it was actually really hard, because even though he was only like 90 pounds, once they start stiffening after they die, it's heavy, and I didn't know that. But we got him dressed, and it was strange. It was really, really strange and really unforgettable. Like, the hardest part was when they came in and got him. They wrapped him up in the sheet that he was laying in bed, and they put him on, I think it's called a gurney or something, and they covered him up some more and took him out the door, and he was gone. That was really, really hard to watch. And he told me, we're going to wrap him up and take him now. Do you guys want to go out in the other room? I was like, no, I want to sit. I want to watch. I want to be here. It was hard to see, but I'm glad I did watch. They wheeled him out, and I was right behind them. And they put him in the van, and they drove off with him. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried until I just couldn't cry no more. I was sitting on the porch just crying and crying and crying. And that was pretty much it. We sat at my dad's house, my stepmom's house, pretty much all day. We had to go up to the funeral home, and that's when I asked them if I could have his shirt back, because I got it for him for his birthday, which was the month before. He had just turned 56, and they gave me the shirt back. They said once they got him dressed, they would give him the shirt back. We had to go up there and pick out the casket and the flowers and basically make the funeral arrangements. My dad was from Alabama and wanted to be buried in Alabama, so we had I don't know if it's called a wake. We had like a viewing and a service here for one day, and then they took his body down south, and we drove down south to Alabama, which is like a whole nother story. But we drove down there. It took 20 hours to get there. I brought Layla. I'm so glad I took Layla, because she got to meet her great grandma, which is my dad's mom. Never got to meet her, and they met, so I know my dad was really happy about that. We stayed there. We got there, what was it? I think it was Wednesday, and then we left on Sunday. His funeral was Saturday. The viewing was Friday. They had a viewing Friday, and then his actual like whole funeral and burial was Saturday. And so we had to do it all over again, basically. See him in the casket and stuff like that. When Layla saw him in the casket for the first time, she covered her eyes and she said no, like she knew. It was really weird. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen a kid, like, heard of a kid doing that. But yeah, as soon as I picked her up and I said, Papa, and she looked over in the casket and was like, no. Like, it was strange. But by the end of the funeral and stuff, after saying our goodbyes and everything, she did give him a kiss. She kissed him on the forehead. She was rubbing his hand, and I don't know, her first reaction it bothers me, because I wonder what, I don't know. She still asks for her papa. We drive by my dad's house. She cries, Papa, 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 because she wants to stop and go there. I got a couple of things from my dad. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you about the funeral. My mind is like all over the place. We picked out his tombstone, or is it tombstone? Burials? No, I don't know what that thing is called. I think it's a tombstone. We picked one out when we went to Alabama. Unfortunately, it takes a month for those to be made, so we weren't able to see it before we left. We have an idea of what it's going to look like, but I haven't seen it, and I want to see if someone in my family can take a picture for me and send it to me, so then I can see, you know, what it looks like and see my dad's resting place again. And it just sucks because I can't like go visit him at his grave. I can't put flowers down or anything like that because he lives he's buried so far away, and I know that being buried and stuff like that, it's for your family because he's no longer in that body, and I know that just because he's way over there doesn't mean I can't still talk to him and stuff, you know what I mean? It's just, I believe that cemeteries and funerals and stuff are just for the people that are living. I don't know. Boy, this is hard to talk about. What I was saying, I ended up getting some of my dad's things. I have his truck. He left his truck to me. So I've been driving that all month, and at first I felt really weird driving it, but I feel closer to my dad because I know that he sat in that seat. He had his hands on that steering wheel. He looked in that rear view mirror, you know what I mean? He had that seatbelt on, you know, so I feel closer driving that car, or that truck, because it was his. I also have 2 of his rings, and these are rings that he wore all the time. His name started with a J, and so does mine. And then I have his birthstone ring, and these are rings that he wore constantly. I actually have pictures of him wearing these rings. I don't know if you can see them. So I have his rings. This one only fits my ring finger, so it looks like I'm married, but I'm not. They're my dad's ring, and these are the only fingers they fit, so I'm putting them on. And I wear them every day, pretty much every day. Some days I forget to put them on because I have to take them off at night. But most days I have these on. I pretty much have them on every day. I also got his watch. It's just a normal watch that he used to wear all the time. The story about this watch, when Eulela was a baby, my dad was wearing this watch, and Eulela used to, you know, mess with it and play with it and bite on it. You know how little babies do. Every time he held her, she would mess with it, and she ended up doing something to the buttons, and my dad could never figure it out, and it goes off. I don't even know how often it goes off. It goes off like twice a day. There's like an alarm or something on there, and it's constantly making noises. And he could never figure out why and what Eulela did. So every time I hear this watch go off, I'm always like, "Hi, Dad," or Eulela will go, "Papa, Papa, Papa, watch," because she knows that this is her Papa's watch, and she knows when it goes off, I always say, "Hi, Papa," or "Hi, Dad." So I'm going to save this for Eulela. I let her play with it a lot. She walks around with the house and she plays with it, and she's always saying Papa when she plays with it. But I'm going to keep this for her. This is just going to be her little special watch, and I'm going to tell her that story when she gets older, and this will be hers. I also got his fishing license. And I got it because I wanted something with his signature on it. When I got his truck and I cleaned the truck out, I was desperately looking for something with his signature on it so I can get it as a tattoo, and I couldn't find any papers or anything. So my stepmom gave me this, his fishing license, and it has his signature on it. So I have that. This is a shirt that I dressed him in before they came and got him. This is a shirt I got him for his birthday. And I haven't washed it or anything, and I'm not going to. But this is his shirt. And then wrapped around the shirt, I have the pocket watch that I got him. Let's see if you can see it. It says Dad. And I got it for him for Father's Day one year. And he kept it. And so I got it back when he died. But we got t-shirts made for him when we were down south, and I'll show you Eulalia's. Mine's put away, but this is Eulalia's. I let her wear it once, and I took pictures with her in it, and then I'm gonna take this shirt and I'm gonna wrap it, put it in a little baggie, and I'm gonna put it in her box of like the special things that I kept. Like I kept stuff when she was first born, her like hospital outfit and stuff like that. So I'm gonna keep this for her too and just put it in that same box. But this is for my dad, and you can see his face right here in the corner looking down. And then back here was just a poem that my stepmom really liked, and put it on the back of the shirts. And I don't know if I want to read it. I guess I'll read it. It says, "A letter from heaven. When tomorrow starts without me and I'm not here to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say." I knew this was going to happen, so I didn't want to read it. I know how much you love me as much as I love you, and each time you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. When tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right there in your heart. And then it has the day he was born, July 8th, 1960, and then the day he died, August 17th, 2016. So, yeah. I tried my shirt on. I didn't wear it. I don't want to ruin it, so it's put away also. But yeah, it's really hard to lose a parent, especially when you're really, really close with them. Like, I was really close with my dad. So I am going to insert some photos and probably some videos just in his memory. So, yeah.